Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Today, Kyle Bauer is back at the Kansas Livestock Association's annual meeting in Wichita, visiting with the current and future leaders of the cattle industry. First, meet Jaret Moyer, KLA's outgoing president, and then Matt Perrier, the new president of KLA. Next, it's our weekly Kansas Soybean update, and we'll end with Philip Ellis, the current president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, and Tracy Brunner, NCBA's incoming president. It's all coming up here on Farm Factor. Stay tuned.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Welcome to Farm Factor at the KLA annual meeting in Wichita. First off today, Kyle Bauer visits with Jaret Moyer, the outgoing president of KLA.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer at the KLA annual meeting. I have the opportunity to visit with Jaret Moyer. Jaret is the outgoing KLA president. Jaret, tell us just a little bit about your farming ranching operation.
Kyle, we're actually located north of Emporia in Lyon County. As many people say, we're on the front porch of the Flint Hills. My wife and I operate there a backgrounding and stocker operation where we both grow cattle in dry lot situation, grass traps, as well as graze Flint Hills grass on our operation.
So how did you get involved with KLA, and tell us a bit about the journey there?
You know, it's actually been kind of a long process and story getting here. I originally grew up in Phillips County and moved back there to be part of a family business and began being active with the county committee in that county. When my family decided to move to Lyon County, that was one of the first things. I got a phone call and someone asked if I wanted to be on the county committee there. Later got to serve as the county chairman in Lyon County. Along in that process, became a part of the Kansas Beef Council, which is the checkoff side of the KLA. And so worked up through, was on that for several years before becoming its vice chairman and its chairman of that council. And then that allowed me to have some experience on the board of directors of KLA, and then finally here a few years ago become their president-elect, and then served that role, and then this year as their president.
So as you have been involved over the last year as the president in the leadership, I guess what has been your biggest reward and maybe the biggest challenge?
You know, I think the biggest reward, Kyle, is just getting to meet a lot of the great and wonderful cattlemen in this state. I mean, we have an industry that is really looked up to from across the U.S., and it's really makes you proud when you go to national events and you can tell them you're from Kansas and realize that the tradition and that Kansas has in being a very positive state in the cattle industry, not just here, but nationwide as well.
Any challenges you'd just as soon have not gone through?
Oh, of course, you know, the list can be long. Of course, last year in the state legislature, there was a lot of issues about the property taxes and the impact that may have had on our producers. You look at national issues right now with, MCOOL is still trying to get sorted out and whether there will be retaliatory tariffs. And, you know, the biggest issue right now is it'd be nice if they could have avoided this market until I was at least out of my presidency. But we'll kind of see how the industry works through that in the next few months or year.
We're visiting with Jaret Moyer. He is the outgoing president of KLA. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Folks, stay with us. Kyle will be back with Matt Perrier, the incoming president of KLA.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Ag AM in Kansas, brought to you in part by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Let's join Kyle and Matt Perrier as they look to the future of KLA.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I have the opportunity to visit with the current KLA president, Matt Perrier. Matt, let's start with talking about your farming and ranching operation, where it is and what it looks like.
Okay. Our family owns and operates Dale Banks Angus Ranch. It's in the southern Flint Hills of Kansas, about 3 to 5 miles northwest of Eureka, Kansas, in Greenwood County. I'm a fifth-generation livestock producer, fourth generation to have registered Angus cows on that place. My mother and father are still very active, Tom and Carolyn, my wife Amy, and we have some other family that are part owners as well.
You know, unlike a lot of people that are in leadership in organizations, you have a young family and you're a younger person.
Well, I appreciate that. Hopefully I can still be considered younger, but yes, we've got 4 children, my wife, Amy, and I. Ava is 12, Lyle, Hannah, and Henry is the youngest. He'll be 5 here next week. So it's going to be a challenge as I'm gone traveling and things. I know that I'll miss some activities, but we talked a lot a year ago when I was contacted by our nominating committee at KLA and asked if I was interested. At first I told them there's no way that I can, between the family ranch and the actual family, that I can make time to do this. But as we talked about it, we realized that there is a need for service to our industry, and while it seems like it will be a big commitment, it is only a year to 2 years, and so hopefully we can handle that.
Well, let's talk about what sort of things you've seen that you want to make that kind of a sacrifice for the organization.
Well, I think KLA does a great job of working on on many different facets in our industry. We are bombarded with a lot of anti-meat groups. We are probably very misunderstood in terms of our elected officials and things like that. And KLA does a great job of communicating with these folks to help us tell our story. We need more involvement. We need more producers. We need more members, and we need more activity actually out of the folks who are involved in KLA to help tell that story. Our consumers are dying to hear it. They're going out there and seeking that information elsewhere. And if we don't tell that story, the HSUS, the PETA organizations of the world are happy to tell their version, which we know not to be true, but we need to tell ours so that we can get our points across.
Now, you've just come through your annual meeting. Does everyone agree on all the issues?
No. It's very obvious when you come to a KLA meeting that we have plenty of very independent-minded folks that have opinions, have viewpoints, and have perspectives that are varying. We represent nearly every segment, definitely every segment of the beef industry, and when we come to this meeting, half of us can't even agree whether high calf prices are a good thing or a bad thing. This year, after the last couple of weeks, we can't even decide whether rain is a good thing or a bad thing. And so the independent spirit of the cattlemen is definitely still alive and well within KLA. And the fact of the matter is, even those that have been active in KLA for generations like myself, we can go through that policy handbook and find plenty of different aspects that we may not be in complete agreement. That's okay. In fact, it's probably healthy for the organization, but we find that the bulk of those facets and those things that we work on as an industry, we do agree on. We do need to come together. We only represent 1% or 2% of the entire population. And if 98% of the people are off of our farms and ranches, I'd say it's time for the 2% to come together and work toward the greater good for the beef industry.
We're visiting with Matt Perrier, current president of the Kansas Livestock Association. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. We have more coming up for you from the KLA annual meeting. But next up is this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay tuned.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Teresa Brandenburg from Osborne serves as the chairperson of the Kansas Soybean Expo Committee. Teresa, it's hard to believe it's coming up January 6th, the 35th annual Kansas Soybean Expo at the Manor Conference Center and Heritage Hall at the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka.
We are excited. We're going all out for the 35th anniversary. It should be an amazing day for soybean farmers.
And it gets started early on at 8:30 in the morning. You've got quite the lineup throughout the day.
We are going to, again this year, hear from some of our commissioner partners. And then at 10 a.m., we have a keynote address from Evelyn Browning-Garris and James Garris, and they're going to be talking to us about how climate is going to affect and bring changes in the soybean industry. And then, of course, we'll have some research and extension. We're going to have breakout sessions again this year. We have 3 amazing choices, and our farmers will get to choose 2 of those when they come to really hear what's on the forefront from research and extension at K-State. And then a highlight every year for us is going to be that luncheon, and that's where we're going to give out a bunch of awards and really honor those people that have pushed the envelope this year as far as yield goes. We're also hoping to hear from the Kansas Attorney General, Derek Schmidt. When the day doesn't stop there, we go on for an afternoon session where we're going to hear from Andy Schisler, and he's going to give us a market outlook, and then we'll cap off the day with our reception where people get a chance to meet those association directors and Kansas soybean commissioners that have been working so hard all year behind the scenes for Kansas soybean farmers. So really just an action-packed day.
There are some deadlines coming up, but first, if people want more information and or like to look at the schedule, where can they go to find that?
The best place to go is to the website, which is kansassoybeans.org/expo. You can also call the office, and that number is 877-KS soybeans, and our pre-registration deadline is actually December 31st, and you can do that right on the website. You can get registration information right there. And we also want to remind people this year to take a look at the policies. Every year at the expo during our luncheon is our annual meeting of the Kansas Soybean Association. And so if people have policy suggestions that they'd like us to look at, those also need to be submitted by December 31st.
That is Teresa Brandenburg, the chairperson of the Kansas Soybean Expo Committee. And the 35th annual Kansas Soybean Expo takes place January 6th at the Manor Conference Center and Heritage Hall in the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka. This has been the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay tuned after the break as Kyle catches up with Philip Ellis, the current president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
This segment brought to you by Heinen Brothers Ag. Farmers helping farmers by offering quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today to protect your crop yield.
Thanks for staying with us. Now Kyle and Philip Ellis discuss the importance of membership in NCBA.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I have the opportunity to visit with Philip Ellis. He is the current president of National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Philip is a rancher from the Chugwater, Wyoming area. Tell us just a bit about your ranching operation in Wyoming.
You bet, Kyle. We're a fifth generation to ranch in that valley, third generation on this ranch. It's good, strong summer grass country and a pretty good in winter grass, high plains area. We have raised a commercial red Angus Hereford cross firm, but we've been in stocker cattle and registered Herefords over the years. We're just tickled to have a family ranch there and to have family continuing to carry on. I have a nephew managing the ranch right now, so I can travel as NCBA president.
NCBA, by the time you get to be president of the organization, you've been involved for quite some time. Tell us just a bit about your involvement with the industry and leadership over the years.
Well, certainly. In fact, I started out like a lot of people do with our county association as secretary-treasurer and got involved in the Wyoming Stockgrowers Association and committees and was president there several years ago, and then volunteered at the NCBA, been regional vice president, and then through the chairs to become president. It's a great opportunity to promote and to lead in the industry that I really believe in.
What has been the most positive aspect of your involvement with NCBA, the most pleasant thing that you'll remember for years to come?
Well, as I travel from state to state in association, like Kansas Livestock Association, but throughout the country, I get to visit and meet with and talk cows with cattlemen from all over the country. And anywhere I go, even if I've not been there before, when I'm with beef cattle people, I feel like I'm home. So it's kind of just like a homecoming every association I go to. And I try and encourage them and tell them, you know, we are the right people raising the right protein. We've got the best protein, the most nutrient-dense protein in beef, and it comes from a renewable resource, from the grass, from my cow-calf operation through the feedlots, whether Kansas, Colorado, and processed. We can be proud of what we do, raising food for the nation and for the globe, really.
You know, really, you bring it down to we use, for the most part, a very sustainable resource with grass and converting that to animal protein. But it seems like every issue that we have in the country affects us in the livestock and the agriculture business every day.
Yeah, it really does, and that's why we have a staff in Washington, D.C. That's why we are there, you know, every day representing our interests, because I can't be there when I'm out on the ranch gathering cattle. And so that's really the value I saw early on in the cattle associations, the state associations, and then NCBA, to have a voice in Washington, D.C., where people are misunderstanding what we do out on the land, and we have to deal with that issue, whether it's in legislative or in legal issues or in regulatory rules. They need to understand what we're doing and the good job we're doing out on the land.
We're visiting with Philip Ellis. He is the current president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Don't go away. After the break, Kyle introduces Tracy Brunner, the incoming president of NCBA.
I'm a patient of the Kansas Regenerative Medicine in Manhattan. I had stem cell therapy in my hips and my left knee. My wife and I both are patients. We went down there the same day in November. Since then, my hips are feeling a lot better. I can work now most of the day if I want to. And before, if I worked in the morning, I was done in the afternoon, or if I worked in the afternoon, I was sure enough done for the rest of the day.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand. And I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Here's Kyle's conversation with Tracy Brunner at the KLA annual meeting.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer at the KLA convention. Have the opportunity to visit with Tracy Brunner. He is the upcoming president of NCBA, has also been in the leadership of KLA over the years. Tracy, Dickinson County producer, tell us just a little bit about your operation in Dickinson County.
Well, thank you, Kyle. In southern Dickinson County, our operation includes everything from seed stock to farming, ranching, grazing of yearling cattle and cows, calves on the Flint Hills, as well as a feeding operation. So we're quite diverse. We're fourth generation and transferring to the fifth generation now of Brunners in Dickinson County.
The amount of time that you've spent over the years in leadership for the industry, for the cattle industry, has been significant. Tell us how you got involved with KLA and how that evolution happened.
Well, you know, Kyle, I always had a high regard for the service to the industry that Kansas Livestock Association provides, and even as a young high school and 4-H'er growing up, I saw the leadership and representation that KLA provided. And so one of the first things I did after graduating from Kansas State was send in my first KLA membership. And, you know, it was kind of a big deal for me then, and it's still a big deal for me now. Over the years, I've gained so much from KLA and working in KLA, the great people foremost that I've been able to be associated with, but also very importantly for me, the continuing education and what I've been able to learn. KLA provides so much good, not only networking, but information on cutting-edge technologies and new ways to do things. So KLA has been a big service to not only my career, but also to my family business over the years.
Now you're evolving into leadership for NCBA. That will happen soon. Large responsibility with a lot of travel for the next year.
Well, there will no doubt be some travel. We're fortunate enough to be invited to attend some state meetings around the country, just like this one here in Wichita, and always very happy and anxious to go and not only represent the National Association, but learn what's on the minds of cattlemen around the country. You know, we raise cattle from coast to coast and from the swamps to the mountains and just about everywhere that we can put a fence around and can't get over with a lawnmower while we run some cows and raise some cattle on. And so this cattle industry that we work to represent is quite diverse, but very unified in the values that I find from cattlemen. So, you know, always anxious to get out there and talk with cattlemen as much as possible, and find out their thoughts about things that are going on in our industry.
Tracy Brunner, Dickinson County producer, soon to be leadership of NCBA. This is Kyle Bauer reporting.
Thanks for joining us once again at the KLA annual meeting in Wichita. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor. We're here every Tuesday on Ag AM in Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamnkansas.com.